I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to become comfortable with the uncomfortable and become a manifesting master of your reality. Because the truth is that when we get stuck in what we believe to be comfort, actually what I found is that that is a huge trap, and it leads you to not only not create at a physical, tangible level what you would like to see happen in your experience. Also, what begins to happen is that you don't feel how you want to feel. And so you lose in every single area, in all possible areas that you can lose in your life. You lose when you attach to comfort. I'm going to share with you in this video how to overcome this challenge so that you can truly be that person that you want to be. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button, and I also want you to hit that notification bell. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, I just launched email coaching, as well as there are a few spots left for my one-on-one coaching program, and you can check out all the details for both of those things down below. Now, what I want to start off this video with is a really powerful understanding that I found in my life personally, which is that actually when you take the easy path, and by easy, what I mean is sort of like this false sense of comfort, where you think, like, it's hard to explain it. It's almost like you think that it's comfort, you think that it's safety, you think that it's this sort of like this sense of like easiness, and it feels easy and it's comfortable. But really what I want to share with you, and this powerful understanding that I found in my life personally, is that actually the easy path is actually the hardest path that you can take. It's the hardest possible path. Now, I'm not saying to not feel good. I think feeling good is one of the most important things to honor in your life. But at the same time though, even though that is true, what's important to understand as well is that when you try to just make everything as easy and as comfortable as possible, what happens is that, in my personal experience, it creates suffering. It creates a deep sense of not feeling rooted, and you feel a lot of suffering. So let me continue this video with an example to make this really understandable, because personally in the past, when I heard somebody say that, it really triggered, I don't know how to explain it, it almost like triggered me, if that makes sense. It almost made me feel very kind of like resentful, like that's the kind of emotion that I felt. And so, but now I really see what it actually means. So the example that I want to share with you is that, imagine this, or even think back if you had a memory like this. So if you had a memory like this will be, especially relatable, but if not, you can think of something that is similar to this example to help you get a grasp for what it is that I'm trying to convey and share with you in this video. So something powerful that you can actually understand is to think about it like this. I don't know if you remember when you were younger, or it doesn't really matter, I guess, how old you were. It's never too late. But if you remember any memory where you were riding a bike for the first time, if you remember, it felt like riding a bike feels, when you learn this for the first time, it feels very weird and like uncomfortable and it's kind of like awkward, right? It's like this awkward feeling. It doesn't feel like, it's hard to explain, it feels a little bit awkward, if that's the right word to share. It feels a little bit weird, right? But what I want to share with you though is that although it feels awkward and weird, I don't know if a powerful understanding that I found in my life is that although it feels awkward and weird, in my personal experience, doing something like that, learning a new skill, like for example, let's say you've been writing with your right hand and you take your left hand instead. You take your left hand instead. It feels a little bit awkward. It feels a little bit weird to do that new thing, to learn that new skill. It feels, you could say, uncomfortable. But what I want to share with you is that in my experience, to remain in the same exact thing over and over, eventually, if you don't add any kind of newness, a new depth to it, or something different, it can even be something that you were already doing, but if you don't add on top of that some new level of depth and something a little bit deeper about it, something new, it becomes very comfortable. But comfort in of itself, in my experience, is a huge trap, because what happens with comfort is that if you don't take it upon yourself to take action, you could say that it's action, that's one way to explain it, to go learn that new skill, to go learn that new thing, what's going to happen is that you won't necessarily feel in that new realm of like that awkward new, like that feeling when you're learning a new skill, because it's the unknown, right? But what you will have is a false sense of safety. And that false sense of safety can feel safe, but eventually what you realize is that it builds sort of like, how do I explain it? It over time, maybe for a little bit, it's good. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being in that comfort, being in that just totally the same, like just I mean, to be a little bit, to be honest with you, to be a little bit lazy. You could use that word. I don't like that word because I feel like it miscommunicates the message that I really want to share here. And I want to be very specific about the words that I'm using to specifically communicate a deeper message here. But when you stay in that kind of like sameness, it can seem safe, and it is to some degree, but to another larger degree, in my experience, it sort of builds in your energy this kind of like this heavy, resentful feeling. And really the resentment is really towards yourself, because you know that there's probably something that you can commit to, that you can learn to be better, not from a space of being in resistance to your past self, or in resistance to somebody in your life, or resistance to any kind of aspect. It just feels like that you can do something new, something different. That might feel a little bit, you could say, and again, the words that I'm using here, you got to read between the lines just a little bit with what I'm saying. It could feel a little bit awkward, and you could say different, and you could say uncomfortable, but I would say that is a lot easier. You see what I'm saying? It's hard to, like, the wording here is very, it's hard to communicate. Not hard, but it's a specific thing that I want to point you to, just from my own personal experience. But it's actually going to be easier, and in a way even more comfortable, you could say, to carry on and learn and become better. To keep learning, right? Because learning, I believe that if we stop learning, if we stop developing, we're really giving up on ourselves. You don't want to like let go in that sense. How people talk about, like, in the spiritual community, like just let go. In that sense, I would say, like, in terms of how I'm communicating right now, in that sense, don't let go. Carry on, learn, develop yourself to be more of who you want to be. And only then will you begin to remember, perhaps, in your own experience, at least this is just what I personally have realized, that doing that uncomfortable thing is really, in a way, depending on the way that you want to see it, is actually more comfortable. Or actually, you could say that it's more balanced. That's another way of saying it. So the final thing that I want to share with you in this video is that really something powerful to become comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? To become comfortable with the uncomfortable and become a manifesting master of your reality is to focus on just learning and observing your mistakes and failures. Just learn, right? If you have a goal or something that you're aspiring, not necessarily aspiring, I don't like that word because it seems like you're not really doing it when people say aspiring. If you're in the process of becoming that person that you want to be, what I would say is just focus on, in that process, just seeing the mistakes, seeing the challenges, right? And then that challenge, what used to feel like your safety will actually, from a different perspective, you'll say, wait, actually, if I attach to these mistakes, that is actually the unsafety. That's the unsafety. You would think that if you attach to comfort and you let yourself get reactive to your mistakes and you get angry and resentful, you would like the ego, you would think that that's safety. But actually what I found is that, and by the way, I'm not saying that there's not a time and place to just honor at all. I mean, not only is there a time and place, but it's important to honor how you feel. Because if you're truly angry about something, that is okay. It's part of being human. But what you don't want to do, in my personal experience, is let that mistake define yourself. The final thing that I want to share with you in this video is think about it like this. When a toddler is learning to walk, a toddler is a child for sure, but there's a very powerful component to a toddler that actually many adults have completely forgotten. They have forgotten this innate intelligence within every single person. That's when when it's learning to walk, what happens is that when the toddler learns to walk and then it falls, what does it do? It might cry, it might scream, that's fine. It might scream for days, it might cry, it might scream, but eventually, you know what that toddler realizes? It realizes that crying and screaming and letting the emotions define itself, it's like it just becomes conscious and it's like, okay, this is not helping me to walk, right? That's what the toddler realizes. The toddler realizes that, wait a second, I can cry, I can scream, I have the full opportunity, I have the full choice to cry, to scream, to get reactive. But eventually it's like, well, this is not helping me to become the person that I want to be. And it's not even necessarily like it is logic, but it's also just this deep, it's kind of like truth that it notices, that he or she notices, where it's like, well, actually, I need to move forward. And if you give up, sure, toddler can give up, but what will be the consequence of that? It just won't learn how to walk. So what I'm really trying to share here is that, comfort is okay. It is okay. It is okay to get emotional. It is okay to cry, to scream, to get angry, even dare I say, in the bigger picture, I personally wouldn't suggest this, but I could say that, it is okay in the bigger picture to even blame. Now, I'm not saying to blame people. I'm not saying to attack anybody, but I'm just saying that it is, in the bigger picture, it is okay. It is not bad in the big picture, if that makes sense, but eventually what I would invite and encourage every single person to do and to be is to focus on moving forward. Focus on moving forward, and you could say get uncomfortable. But really what I mean when I say uncomfortable to conclude this video is to detach from the false sense of comfort, okay? And with that, I conclude this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one, all the details for that will be down below. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.